It was supposed to be a normal morning, the kind of morning that begins like any other. Quiet, ordinary, forgettable. But inside a residential apartment in Edison, New Jersey, something had already gone terribly wrong. A 14-year-old girl lay dead in her bedroom. Her throat had been brutally cut. No warning, no chance, no explanation. At first, the police believed they had their answer. The caretaker was missing. Within hours, a manhunt was underway. The narrative was set: a trusted employee, a sudden betrayal, a flight from justice. But less than 24 hours later, the story shattered. Because the caretaker's body was found, too. On the rooftop. Same wound. Same method. Same night. Suddenly, this wasn't a simple crime. It was a paradox. A locked room mystery where the only two people who could tell us what happened were both silenced in the exact same way. May 11th, 2012. Edison, New Jersey. Inside a quiet apartment lived the Carter family. Dr. Michael Carter, a respected dental surgeon, his wife, Dr. Lisa Carter, and their only daughter, Emily. Emily was just days away from her 15th birthday. She was the center of their world. Also in the home was Daniel Reyes, a 50-year-old caretaker from Honduras. He wasn't just staff. He was a fixture of their daily life, handling the cooking and the chores that kept the busy household running. That Friday evening, the family shared a rare moment of peace. Michael arrived home around 9:15 p.m. and surprised Emily with a gift, a digital camera. She spent the night laughing, snapping photos of her parents, capturing the last moments of a normal life. These photos would later become the most haunting evidence in the file, not because of what they showed, but because of the warmth they captured just hours before the cold set in. By midnight, the lights went out. The apartment fell into a silence that would never be the same again. 6:10 a.m. The housekeeper, Angela, arrives. She rings. No answer. She rings again. Eventually, Lisa Carter opens the door, confused. Daniel usually has the coffee ready. He's usually there to unlock the outer gate. But today, the apartment is still. As Michael walks into the dining area, he notices something out of place. A whiskey bottle sitting on the table, and on the glass, dark, copper-colored stains. Instinct took over. He rushed to Emily's room. The door, which she always kept locked, was slightly ajar. Michael pushed it open and found a scene that would haunt the New Jersey legal system for decades. Emily was gone. But here is where the tragedy of the case truly begins. In the panic, the crime scene was not a sanctuary for evidence. It was a thoroughfare. Before the area was secured, more than 20 people, neighbors, friends, first responders, traversed the apartment. Footprints were overlaid. Surfaces were touched. The truth was being scrubbed away by the very people trying to help. This contamination would become the investigation's greatest hurdle. How do you find a killer's shadow when 20 other people have stepped on it? While the world looked for Daniel Reyes, a retired investigator stayed behind. He noticed a faint trail, blood traces leading not out the front door, but up to the rooftop. There, they found Daniel. Like Emily, he had been struck with a blunt object first, then killed with a sharp blade. The autopsy revealed both died between midnight and 1 a.m. This creates the Edison paradox. If 4 people were in a small apartment, how did a killer strike 2 people, including a grown man, with a blunt object without waking the others? There was no forced entry. The doors were locked from the inside, and no blunt instrument and no blade were ever found. If Daniel didn't do it, who did? Was it an intruder who moved like a ghost? Or was the killer someone who already had a key? Investigators explored every angle. They looked at disgruntled acquaintances. They looked at the family's inner circle. They looked at the inconsistencies in the morning's timeline. But every theory hit a wall of contaminated evidence and missing signatures. No fingerprints. No DNA that didn't belong there. Some crimes leave behind a trail. Others leave behind only a void. The Carter apartment eventually saw new tenants. The birthdays Emily never had passed in silence. Today, the case remains permanently unsolved. We like to believe that the truth eventually comes out, that secrets have a shelf life. But in that apartment in Edison, the truth didn't just hide. It vanished. Because even years later, the only thing we know for sure is that 2 lives were taken in total silence. And the silence is the only thing that remains. We often search for monsters in the woods or strangers in the dark. But the Edison case suggests something much more terrifying. It suggests that a home can be locked, a family can be together, and a life can be stolen, and the world will never be told why. The Carter apartment eventually saw new tenants. The birthdays Emily never had passed in silence. Today, the case remains a permanent ghost in the New Jersey legal system. We like to believe that the truth eventually comes out, that secrets have a shelf life. But in that apartment in Edison, the truth didn't just hide. It vanished. Because even after all these years, the only thing we know for sure is that 2 lives were taken in total silence. And the silence is the only thing that remains. If you have a theory on how an intruder could enter and exit a locked apartment without a trace, or if the answer was inside those walls all along, leave a comment below. We may never have justice, but we can at least keep the memory of Emily and Daniel alive. Thanks for watching.